Here's how I understand it. We must experience a rebirth in order to walk legitimately in this world. Until that rebirth, we are just whistling in the dark, pretending that we are not afraid. Until we have died and been reborn, we are just full of our fearful selves. And apparently, there is no individual or group of individuals who has any authority, for it is the individual who has been responsible for all of our suffering. It is only through rebirth, a birth into spirit, that we may transcend the story of the suffering individual. Defending our own false image and attacking the false image of the other is all just a part of a shallow impersonation of what real life can be. Until we truly surrender our false self, we are under a self-imposed curse, as we compulsively protect what we perceive to be our very own special life, which is no true life at all. What then, you may ask, is true life like? How does one surrender the false self? People have been talking about it for a long time. There have been, apparently, those of us who have walked without fear, if even for a brief moment. When we walk without fear of death, because we have already died, we make ripples in the fields, which begin to wake up others. And this that I just mentioned is what the story of the Christ has come to show so many of us. The story of a human who is so filled with the Spirit that we are still telling stories about him. The Christ is the one who has no fear of death, and the promise is that we can surrender our fearful lives for the life of the fearless one, that one who knows that death is only an illusion, one love. It is obvious that we have often misrepresented the story of the Christ. There have been those of us who thought we understood when we didn't, including me, trying to twist the story of the Christ so that we could use it for our own ego games. That's understandable. We had to do that so that we could eventually understand. And we do that with every form, any form that we embrace as human beings. There is no religion who owns the Christ. The Christ is the one who appears to all. The Christ is the one who does not demand to be heard. The Christ is the all-inclusive. The Christ is simply the way of absolute surrender. There are no clubs to join. There are no exclusive memberships. The Christ simply represents the absolute surrender of the individual for the salvation of all, the Son of God made manifest in us. Selah, brothers and sisters, Selah. Travelin' Travs, Travelin' String Camp, sharing and teaching music in your community, labor in the expression of worth, aligning our efforts with what we know to have the deepest value. Together we are discovering our common work, our common stories, our common love. Strengthening a tribe member deepens a tribe, depth tribes feed the world.